Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and in today's video we're going to talk about the Profit Retriever and a bit more closely we're going to have a look at what has happened in the last week. When we were trading the Profit Retriever, some special phenomena has showed up and has made a big impact on our profits this week. We're going to go into a bit of detail on exactly how this happened, and we also have a very good idea that we are not the only one sitting with this issue. Luckily, nobody was hurt making this video or actually during the signals here. But again, this is very important to understand when you trade the Profit Retriever. Obviously, it's not only for the Profit Retriever, but there are certain things within the EA itself that makes it a bit more vulnerable to some of these things. Part of this, and we're going to talk about here today, is that as you've seen, a lot of our EAs, they are doing extremely well, all on the Profit Retriever side here. We have more than 20 going. And this week was a bit of a short week here also at the same time, because Monday was a day off trading. So especially in the US, it was a holiday there. So not many things were actually happening. And then again, they actually did. And that's what this video is all about here today, because we cashed in some losses and we can see that from time to time, even on the Profit Retriever, and we're going to explain a bit more how they actually come about. But in this particular one, it was a serious cash out where one of our accounts looked like this, so a huge drop, and we're talking about more than $1,000 simply so in trading loss. And the second one we have is a bit similar, so it looks like this here, and basically took away all the profit we had on both of these accounts. As you can see before, they have been doing quite well. They've been moving forward, doing excellent percentages here, and all of a sudden this has come along. So obviously we need to know a bit more about it, how this can happen. Will it happen again? What has triggered some of these things? And strangely enough, we didn't see many people in the Expert Forum Premium Forum here highlighting any of these issues. But we have now understood, talking to various people here, that this is definitely not related just to us, because we have a lot of high-speed equipment and VPSs. And this has a different route in it, and some of the things can be explained. So with the normal trading that can and cannot happen from time to time. But this time around, it was definitely something we haven't seen in the entire year. We have been trading the Profit Retriever, or we haven't even seen this great loss so on any of our other EAs that we have traded before. Again, every EA is different, and the difference with the Profit Retriever here, it does have a lot of open trades if trades goes against it, and it will only close once it's in profit. So what on earth can basically make this happen, even though it shouldn't lose any money? Well, as you can see, we just took one of our links here. So this is link 73C, British pounds USD, and as you can see on the graph here, it's doing quite well. It's just taking over more than 10% on a monthly return. So excellent. It has been running for 153 days. So all is well. And yet, as you can see here, we have one losing trade where the rest is winners. And it's not the end of the world, because we're talking about $18.4, and the best day we have here is 1,200. So if you weigh those two up, definitely it's not really worth talking about. But this will happen from time to time, and some of these things can be explained, but we're not sure that everything can. But let's have a closer look at our MT4 platform and go in and have a look at the graphs. And we'll have a closer look of what exactly happened and when. So if we have a look at the graph here, we can see at the moment we have set a range of buys, and we are in a drawdown of about $562 here. This is the Aussie 200 index that was started and that you saw the graph on earlier. You can see it's ticking in nicely. So all the yellow ones here is the profits that are coming in, and it's been doing quite well. And the one we want to have a closer look at is actually the blue line here, starts up here, and then you can see it puts in a range of buys. It even has the bar that also tells you that this is where we're gonna cash out again. So this is basically where the profit retriever is going to cash in at the minimum amount, so around the $16 mark. And when we have a look at it here in a bit more detail, so I'll just zoom in. So now that we can see it in a bit more detail, we can see that we still have the profit reached up here. It says reached at $80. And at the same time, we can see that down here, it looks like this is actually where everything was done. And this is also why we are having a loss. Most of all the buys in here recovers straight over that line. But the strange part here is also if you take a look at the dates itself. So down here it says 17th of February, and the next one here says 21st of February, but it says at 10 o'clock at night. Now, the 17th was a Friday, so 18/19 is basically a holiday here. And then you have a Monday, which is where trading normally starts again. As we said, there was some trading that was discontinued on Monday, but we don't believe that this was the entire world. We could definitely see trading on other currency pairs here. So what we have is we have a huge gap, and we can have those gaps also on the weekend sometimes, and that would be quite normal. All it'll have to do is the EA will normally put in, and this is what it has done here. Most probably the price was somewhere down here. It could have spiked. We're not really sure because we don't have that particular data for this broker here. But it looks like it would have ticked in. So it set all these extra buys in here. And then when it came up here, it might have been there where it basically says, okay, we are now in profit. That's difficult for us here to calculate exactly. But at the end of the day, the EA seems to think that the profit reach was actually 80. So it closed all the trades, but there's obviously quite a few trades to close again here. And at the end of the day, it closed not up here or there, but it looks like it closed all the way down here. And that's where we had more than $1,000 basically lost out. And then straight away, you can see that the robot starts trading again like nothing has happened. And if you just look at the screen itself, it looks like, well, we made a bit of money here. But the price movement, which is a bit strange because normally when you have the weekend gap, there won't be any price movements. There will only be, this is where you ended up, and down here, this is where you started. And these particular dots seems to actually start in between. So again, already somehow set on the Friday and then executed here on the 21st. So looks extremely strange. And that is definitely something that we're a bit puzzled about. If we take a closer look at a normal weekend gap that you will find, and you will have that plenty of times when you go through it, we can see that some of the things that has happened previously here is on the, let's see, so this was on the 11th, there you go. So this is down here. So this is normally what a weekend gap looks like. So you have the Friday where it ends up. In this particular case, this was on the 10th. And then the gap itself is here. And what normally happens is in 80% of the times, normally the gap will be closed. And that's also the case here. So a lot of people can actually trade the weekend gap also. And with the chance of 80% success rate, that is quite good. And you can see that that went up here and the profit retriever reacted as it normally should. There wasn't even any problem. And but all the different settings, the different buys was already in. It was recovering as it was, and it didn't seem to be confused and closed down here either. So obviously something special happened on that particular day, and we're not sure exactly what that is. Now we have a second one here also, so let's jump to the next chart. Now the next chart is the US 30 index, and don't worry, it's not the one where we have live suppliers on. or demo accounts on here. So this is a new one that we have been trading, as you saw, but a short period of time. And this has a different type of setup than the one that is becoming very, very popular. But you can see here it's still cashing in. We can see that one went the wrong way, cashing in, and we can see an initial one also closing off at $400, so it's doing quite well. But the part we want to have a closer look at here is actually this particular section. And this happened in the last week, where we started off on a buy, and then the price didn't get all the way up to where actually it would be cashing in. After that, the price dropped down here. This was the second entry, so for the particular trade. And then after that, it looked like it was going to be cashing in. It got very close to it overall. And after that, we again have the gap on the weekend. Plus, of course, we also have, you can see again on the 17th of February. And then it says here, 21st of February, again at 10 o'clock in the evening here. So a big gap. And if we have a closer look and just zoom in for a sec, then we can see that the third buy that has been set here again is set. Basically, there is no candle. That candle is the one that we actually finished off on Friday. And all of a sudden, again, we don't really understand because we only have 3 buys in here. And if you have those 3 buys, that particular case, if we ended up here with the price, that wouldn't have triggered a profit at the end of the day. So it looks like again the robot here itself, it must have considered that we were reaching this particular target. So something definitely went wrong. You can see the profit reach here says it did make money, but obviously that's not the case. And again, the price dropped on the next 15-minute chart, as you can see we have up here. And basically every 3 of the buys in here ended up with a loss. After that, it quickly set on a sale journey and moved on from there. So this is a very, very strange thing to see and happen. And we do believe it has something to do with the not the weekend gap as such, but also what has happened. Especially it could be broker related into this particular one. There will be slippage, but slippage is normally when price is moving quite quickly, but we don't see any fast price movement here. So very, very strange thing to see. And again, if you say the profit retriever is a bit more vulnerable to this, normally when you have fast price movements, because you can actually end up with either a loss because it's actually closing a few milliseconds after the initial robot said, okay, close all trades. But all the trades have a slight delay, and that can basically change a $10 or $20 profit into maybe a minus, depending on how many trades are actually open. The more you have open, the more delay you will have at the end of the day. But we have also seen good and positive ways where this has happened, where you entered into a spike and it's supposed to switch off and just make the $20. One of the biggest ones we had here recently was not on this particular account, it was also a different broker. And we ended up with that EA of basically making almost $1,000 instead, simply just because of the price movement and the small little delay that you would have on the robots itself. So it can be both positive and negative. Now this is obviously far from ideal, but we still want to highlight these issues here. So as they come up, you'll see also we just went on the portfolio itself that we have with all our different robots, and this is on a weekly basis. You can see that we actually still, despite all these issues that we had this week, and only 4 trading days, we came out still with a plus of $1,426.25. And compared obviously to the previous weeks, way down. And this overall just means again that when you trade different things in the portfolio, you again spread the risk, and overall you are still making money. Now, if we take a look on a monthly basis, all of a sudden it's starting to disappear. As you can see, for February, even this is a short month, we already passed the 20,000 and we have just a few more trading days left to go. So we might end up around the 25,000 mark. We normally cash in about 1,000 a day. And that is definitely still very good numbers. And if I wouldn't have told you that this would have happened, you most probably wouldn't be able to see it out of it. You can see that what we did in October and November, we have already surpassed, even with this particular issue. So it is important to understand that this is definitely not the end of the world. It is definitely annoying, and we want to know a bit more about what has happened. But when you are trading it and trading in a portfolio, this is basically a little hiccup on the road, hopefully to success. So as you can see here, the portfolio is pretty much intact. Our balance is actually up at 420,000 now. Equity passed 400,000 and free margin is almost at 399. So it's doing quite well overall. And also monthly returns more than 10%. Weekly returns is calculated at 2.8. Don't forget that FX Blue calculates it a bit differently compared to us, because we're always looking back at every single account just being at 10,000. And some of these accounts have obviously grown to 20, 30, and we even have one also at more than 40,000. But we're still trading with the same lot size. That's where the changes in the percentage actually comes in. But overall, you can see the history itself, 344 days, quite impressive. And it continues to take over quite nicely. We are, of course, going to do another video here also on the Profit Retriever. So once we get to the 1 year mark, it has definitely been a very good year. Overall, it is cashing in. But we need to understand a bit more on exactly how this could happen at the end of the day, about the different types of brokers being used, if this has an influence on it. Normally we know that the Profit Retriever will not give or close any deals, so in minus. But again, there is various things within the Forex market itself that can help you. And as we just discussed, slippage, and if you have many open trades on the Profit Retriever, it will take a second or two for all of them to close also. That is quite normal with all the different brokers. Now, we did also speak with Alex this week. We didn't enter it into the forum because we didn't want to create any type of panic, but we asked him to have a look at some of his also. We know that that some of these accounts also he is running similar, and we could see that on some of our accounts everything was working quite fine. Most of the accounts was working extremely well. We saw a few that just had small little numbers also losing out a bit and closing in minus, and we normally never see that on the weekend trading. We haven't had anything like this in the basically 50 weeks that we have trading on this now. So this was quite unusual for us and also for Alex. He was even wondering why nobody else had picked this up. But obviously this is something that is definitely worth looking into. And if we can get a bit closer to the truth behind all this, then definitely the video here also that Alex has. I believe that we, with our questions and the details that we sent to him here, that we inspired him to do this particular video. And even though it says robot never have a daily loss, he explains exactly what I also explained to you in this particular video here, that even the best robots will have individual days where you will see a minus. And again, there is various things within the Forex market, and Alex is explaining a lot more about this also in detail of why exactly that is. And obviously there's only so much you can do from your own side. You can obviously set up one of the best VPSs. We have that. We have been running that for quite a few years. They are specifically for trading purposes. And you can find the link in the description below if you want to use our link here. We are very happy with them. And they are actually also able to locate them both in London, New York, other places around the world, to make sure that the milliseconds that we know is always counting in here is at the very best. But obviously many other things also comes in the trading itself. Obviously, the variation of spreads coming and going. And a lot of times when you see market volatility, that means also the spread will go up. So again, depending on what brokers you are using, so things get extremely complicated sometimes when it comes to the Forex trading itself. So, but by all means, please also have a look at Alex's video. We'll make sure that that description is also in there so that you can click the link and get a good understanding of what on earth just happened here. But I definitely wouldn't be too concerned. Yes, of course, it's very annoying. Nobody likes to lose any trades. But again, already from the people that are trading the Profit Retriever, we know how well it's working. We know that it will make up the losses again. And over time, especially when you have a portfolio approach to all this, you will come out on top with a nice profit for the week, like you saw we did here. And so will many other ones. But yes, we need to understand how it is to trade the Forex and how to trade the Profit Retriever robot. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I also hope that you go back and maybe if you are trading some of the things yourself also, go and have a look and see around these dates, see exactly what you found, if you also found the gaps, if you found anything, we would like to hear about it. So, and we have also an email, so if you want to send us a further email and you want to send a few pictures about this and what happened to you, as we said, it is not particularly just down to the two accounts we saw here. We can see these were indexes that we showed you, but there is also minor parts on the Forex currency sides. But again, only things at a particular point was affected, other things were not, and obviously the greatest part had no effect at all, which is great, but we need to understand this, and if you have any details, please share them with us. So I hope to see you on one of the future videos on the Profit Retriever, and the next one I do have lined up, which should have been actually the one I would release today, is something to do with the next steps that we are doing in terms of optimization, set files, and the things we have learned from there. But we will send that out in the very near future. So hopefully make sure you have the notification bell turned on so you won't miss that one. So until my next video, see you around. Bye-bye.